All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division where some information came out yesterday on Twitter about Errol Spence Jr., which verified some things that I had heard. But this was the first time that somebody actually showed a picture and confirmed what I heard about Errol after the Terence Crawford fight. And therefore, also is something that was widely known to people in boxing that other than what was, being put out in the media. And it seems with that being known that Terence Crawford's decision to refuse to fight Errol Spence Jr. at 154 pounds and to delay the fight in the first place for a longer period of time makes a lot of sense. And as you know what they say, all is fair in love and war, and boxing is most definitely war. So there's a whole lot of people are saying, man, that's on Errol Spence. But let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division where Terence Crawford has recently come out, or at least a team member of his has recently come out and said that they will refuse to fight Errol Spence Jr. at any weight other than 147 pounds. This despite the fact that he had previously said that he would, that Errol Spence after the fight said, and actually before the fight, not just after the fight, before the fight said, no matter what, this is his last fight at 147 pounds. And rampant information going on and being available around about Errol's size in between fights. Now, before I get into the details of it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so very, very much for your continued support. So let's get into this. And again, my viewpoint on this is the following. All's fair in love and war, right? Which pretty much means, man, you can expect people to do a lot of funny stuff when you are at war or when there is male, female, or whatever relationships involved, right? So all's fair in love and war. So this is not a critique or a criticism of necessarily a criticism of Terence Crawford, and really an observation of what more than likely is the real case about Errol Spence Jr. and what happened with Errol Spence Jr. There was just a guy that Curtis Scone, I believe is his name. Shout out to him. He was out on Twitter. And by the way, I owe him an apology. I put a tweet out where he had shown a picture of himself and Errol Spence Jr. And he said in this tweet that Errol Spence Jr., this was taken, within a week after the fight. And Errol Spence Jr. looked like he was around 170 pounds with no body fat on him at all. Now, note, 170 with no body fat on you. That doesn't mean 170 pounds like you just ate a bunch of weight and you got fat, you got fleshy. No, 170 pounds of that's how big he is. That's the muscle. That's how much he looks like he weighed. Now, myself, that is something that I had also heard out of Dallas after the fight took place, that he was before the fight, that he weighed and was going on around about 170 pounds. I also can testify that I saw Errol Spence Jr. in person. And this was maybe 5-6 months before the fight. And when I saw him in person, he looked very muscular and strong to me. He did not look fat at all. No, so it wasn't look like he looked like he had a pudgy face or any of that. He had like clearly defined muscles in his neck, clearly defined muscles in his arms. He looked very, very solid, right? So The combination of those things tell me that, man, he's probably is walking around at about 170 pounds. And then that reminded me of a tweet that Errol put out. And where Errol said, this was back in September, or I think it may have been October of 2022, where he put out a tweet and said, man, this is getting hard to make weight. And then I actually responded to him. I say, yeah, man, it's getting hard to make weight. That may be why they're delaying the fight and pushing the fight out and keeping the negotiations going further and further and further. So you have to hold on to that weight longer and longer and longer and longer. Now, once again, I'm not saying that is something that Terence Crawford shouldn't do. It is what it is. All's fair in love and war. If Terence Crawford's job is not to necessarily, and this is one thing that I will give to the people that make statements about him refusing to fight Errol at 147, which is that it's not his responsibility to do Errol any favors. That's true, just like it's not Errol's responsibility to do Terence Crawford any favors at all. However, it is very obvious, though, or at least it is apparent. It's apparent that Terence Crawford is doing that, and that Terence Crawford does know that weight on Errol Spence Jr. and the weight coming off of Errol Spence Jr. is a significant weakness for him. And that is something, as long as he's fighting at 147 pounds. So for everybody that said that Errol looked super drained, when people said that Errol looked super drained and his eyes didn't look right and he looked like he was drunk going into the fight, man, a whole massive dehydration can do that to you. And the fact that Terence Crawford refuses to fight him at 154 and specifically says, at least Steve Nelson specifically says, we don't want to fight him at all. So that's why we're going to try to have the fight at 147 pounds so he won't take it, tells you that they think Errol will take it at 154, but he won't take it at 147 because he doesn't want to go through that process of draining his body out and draining his body dry again. And so if you know it now, then more than likely you knew it then. But more importantly, if you know it now, people can stop saying that that's not an excuse, or not that that's just some excuse and there's no validity to it whatsoever. You may not like that people are saying it, but Terence Crawford's actions demonstrate that he believes that there's a lot of truth to it. At the same time, though, that's not saying that Terence Crawford would not beat Errol Spence Jr. at 154 or beat him at 160 or beat him at 160 pounds. At the end of the day, though, we will definitely see what takes place. I have a suspicion that this fight is either, I believe the fight's going to take place, but I have a high suspicion that this fight's going to take place at 154 pounds. Because that, even though, and again, just because you have the right to do something and right does not necessarily mean that it is a good look for you. If Terence Crawford really wants to grow his fan base and have people really like cotton on to him as a fighter, doing things like that after you said that you would fight him at 154, after you said you would fight other people at 154, and said you would fight things at 168, people at 168, like Canelo, may not be the smartest move. But anyway, with this information coming out and Terence Crawford saying what he says, please stop saying that people that believe Errol Spence Jr. was not right in that fight do not have a reasonable argument to do so. You can just pretty much say you don't care, and it is what it is. And hey, man, nobody owes anything. It's a hard, cold world. All of those things you would be correct about. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.